Exactly. Okay, I just want you to know that the doorkeeper sets the mood for people who come in this building. All right, so somebody needs to, while he's doing his job, he needs to understand how to do his job.
What did he do?
First of all, he had to look at my purse because the machine doesn't work. So he should have said, the machine isn't working, so I need to look at your purse.
Hi, Lucas.
Just letting you know we're streaming right now, so unless you're prepared to say something, don't say anything.
Oh, well, you need to turn it down.
Remember when you stole my mic and started beatboxing?
Feels great, Keith. Just let it feels great.
You guys want to remove your coats because it's too hot?
Randall, come on up here. Bill, come on.
Hi, Pete.
All right, everyone ready?
Yeah.
Good morning. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. And I know it's a gorgeous day outside with a little humidity, and we're cooling off here in the chambers. But I want to thank everyone for being here to report on this important, very important topic today. I'm Commissioner Lisa Sabecki, and I'm here today with our State Senator, Paula Hicks Hudson, and my colleague, Commissioner Pete Gerken, to emphasize just how detrimental and that potential override of several key vetoes issued by Governor DeWine would be. Many of you know the legislature is going to come back in session on a very rare summer session to do some veto overrides. I want to acknowledge everyone who is standing here with us today. These are the leaders in our communities whose organizations make Lucas County such a great place to work, live, and retire. They represent your public school educators, your public library system, your mental health and recovery board. These important services provided by the Board of Developmental Disabilities, the Lucas County Children's Services, the gyms in our community like the Metro Parks and Imagination Station. All these are levy-funded entities are in danger of certain provisions in the budget that was wisely vetoed by the governor, are now being looked at to be overturned. There are three specific provisions we're talking about today, and I want you to hear more about these from the folks that are in the front lines and leading these very important areas. But I'll also say, overriding these vetoes is a threat to the autonomy of local communities and will undermine public confidence in the democratic process. We cannot let that happen. You must call your elected representatives. I would say call your senator, but forget that call because she's right here. Call the other senators and tell them to do the right thing. And so at this time, I would like to turn it over to Mona, and I'm going to mess up this last name, even though I practice it a lot, Al Hamani from the Toledo Federations of Teachers. Thank you, Mona.
Good morning. The Toledo Federation of Teachers strongly advocates against the proposed overrides of Governor DeWine's state operating budget. Public education is the cornerstone of a democratic society, and students, families, and teachers are relying on these vetoes to maintain the integrity of learning and teaching. Funneling money away from public school savings, expanding the private school voucher system, and restricting the ability to place emergency levies on the ballot would eliminate levy replacements and on property taxes, furthering the monumental obstacles public educators are already facing. We are battling an already monumental road ahead with the dismantling of the State Teachers Retirement Board, with the idea that teachers will no longer be able to collectively bargain. We must speak out. If we don't speak out now, we will not be able to support our communities, support our students, and support our teachers the way that we should. So we really strongly advocate against these proposed overrides. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona. And I also, for the next speaker comes up, also want to recognize Area Office on Aging and the tremendous work that they do in our community for our seniors that have really built our community and stabilized our community in so many ways. The next speaker that I'm going to ask to come up is Jason Kushman from the Toledo Lucas County Public Library, the place that I say is the house of knowledge. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Kuchma. I'm the Executive Director of your Toledo Lucas County Public Library. I want to thank the County Commissioners and Senator Hicks Hudson for this opportunity and you all for joining us here. I'm an Ohio native who returned to our state after nearly a decade working with public libraries in New York City. I came back to help lead the Toledo-Lucas County Public Library, and I did so because everyone in our country knows that Ohio is the gold standard for public libraries. We provide unparalleled and unfettered access to information and lifelong learning to our community while also creating spaces for our neighbors to come together. In the wake of the pandemic, we know that places for people to be with one another, for fellowship, for learning, for doing the things that make our communities better and stronger is not just a good idea, but it's critical to the well-being of our friends and families. In 2023, Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy identified loneliness as one of the greatest threats to our country's well-being, as the pandemic and technology pushed us further and further from our friends, families, and neighbors. And while 2023 feels like forever ago, the crisis is still very real. So why am I talking about this today? Because Ohio's General Assembly voted last month to reduce library funding across the state, and now they are working to override specific property tax vetoes from Governor DeWine. Some of these vetoes include allowing county budget commissions to reduce and take away levy revenue that has been passed by voters. This includes library levies that passed by Lucas County residents. Additionally, it's making it more difficult for institutions like us to ask voters to consider replacement levies to keep up with rising costs and inflation. For over 100 years, Ohio legislators have known and appreciated the almost incalculable value the public libraries bring to the community, and this is why Ohio has created its own public library fund. Statewide funding for public libraries and our ability to go before local voters ensures that Ohioans receive top-notch library services across the state, whether you live in Lucas County, Franklin County, Defiance County, or Auglaize. Governor DeWine himself continuously praises the role public libraries play in helping families across Ohio reach, in his words, their God-given potential. His blueprint budget actually provided a modest but much-needed increase in public library funding to meet our growing expenses. Yet, the House and Senate both agreed to defy the governor's recommendation and actually reduce library funding across the state. Now the House is working once more to defy the governor through these property tax vetoes, which again take power away from local voters who pass local levies at a specific and clear amount. And it creates a much more difficult environment for beloved institutions like the library, our parks, and other health and human services to financially support ourselves with support for our taxpayers. Reducing public library funding is a choice. The Public Library Fund is essentially a rounding error in a biennial budget that exceeds $60 billion, but the General Assembly has voted to reduce library funding to make a point. Additionally, if local taxpayers didn't want to support the library with our hard-earned dollars, they would simply vote no on our issues. That is how our democracy works. I'll leave it to you to determine the point of these choices from our legislature, but what it means for us in Lucas County is reduced services for you and your neighbors. Plain and simple, fewer library hours, less access to programs, and less access to the resources the library provides, all of which make Lucas County a great place to call home. I and my leadership team are working through the details of what a $2 million reduction in funding means for our 20 branches, mobile services, and 300,000 plus cardholders and the community that we serve that will be affected by this budget cut. But I can tell you right now that for an organization that runs a lean operation delivering over $5 in services for every dollar invested, it means that Lucas County children, teens, adults, and our older adults who enjoy the public library, who benefit from the public library, will suffer the brunt of these short-sighted actions. Toledo-Lucas County Public Library is a National Medal Award-winning library system. This is the nation's highest honor for library excellence and services. Lucas County voters have overwhelmingly supported our library's 5-year operational levies, and just last year even voted in favor of a $153 million bond issue to make the physical manifestation of our library services even better. The disconnect between the General Assembly and the will of local voters could not be in starker contrast than it is right now. I am proud to have the privilege to lead an organization that Andrew Carnegie famously described as the single best thing a community can do for its people. And I hope that the people that we elected to represent us in the State House hear from each and every one of us when the things that we love, appreciate, and need for a strong community are taken away without consent. Thank you.
The next speaker that we're going to have is Scott Silack for the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Lucas County. And before Scott comes up, I'm going to say, listen, folks, we have heard about the growing need for mental health services, not just here in Lucas County, not just here in the state of Ohio, but we've heard about this nationally wide as well. And what the legislators are wanting to do is take away the services that are so important from public education to our libraries and to the mental health needs we have within our community. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott Silek.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Senator Hicks Hudson, for allowing me to say a few words today. As indicated, I'm Scott Silek. I'm the Executive Director of the Mental Health Recovery Services Board here in Lucas County. On behalf of the 17 Lucas County residents that comprise the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board, the 23 treatment, prevention, and support agencies funded by the board using local levy dollars, the 1,000 employees of those agencies, and the 30,000 plus Lucas County residents whose lives are changed as a result of receiving mental health or substance use services at a board contracted agency. I'm here today to strongly urge state lawmakers to uphold Governor DeWine's vetoes of two provisions in the House Bill 96 that could severely impact short and long-term funding of our local behavioral health system. While these provisions may seem a bit technical, their impact is very real, particularly for public safety net services like ours that rely on the stability of local levy dollars to provide life-saving mental health and substance abuse services over the lifespan of individuals. First, the removal of the replacement tax levy authority. Replacement levies are a valuable tool that are only enacted with voter approval. Removing this tool strips away the board's ability to economically maintain our purchasing power and service levels in the face of inflation and growing service needs. Replacement levies build upon previously voter support and maintain the voters' original intentions. Again, these are considered in an open and transparent election process. It's a valuable tool for our communities and should remain that way. Second, the provision allowing the county budget commissions to reduce effective millage on, again, voter-approved levies is concerning as it concentrates a significant amount of power and influence in the hands of a few. Allowing a few individuals to override decisions made directly by voters runs contrary to the electoral process, will create conflict when public ideologies collide, infringes upon the autonomy of publicly appointed board trustees, and frankly just adds an unnecessary layer of bureaucracy that undoubtedly will result in litigation at some point in time. It's my opinion that the best mechanism to monitor our effectiveness and the needs is the voting public. In our most recent levy passed with 69% of the vote in Ottawa Hills, 56% in the city of Sylvania, 59% in the city of Toledo. Clearly, we are privileged with the widespread community support. Lucas County residents understand the value of their investment and in behavioral health services, and allowing the County Budget Commission to upend voter intentions will erode public trust and destabilize our safety net system. So here's what's at stake. Last year, our crisis care line took 12,000 calls. 60% increase in emergency room visits for behavioral health services last year. Our agencies serve 30,000 Lucas County residents. We just built a new facility, Danny's Place. That is a regional facility funded by a conglomerate of 11 different boards. If this happens in Lucas County, it also is going to be happening elsewhere. That will inevitably impact our ability to work collaboratively across county lines. What's happening here is a bellwether to what happens elsewhere, and frankly is a barrier to collaboration. Also, services like suicide and school-based prevention, jail-based intervention services, mobile crisis teams, recovery housing for individuals involved in the opioid struggles, and mental health housing rely heavily and directly on levy dollars. Governor DeWine got this right. His vetoes protect local control upholds voter intent, and preserves the mental health services in our community, we urge the General Assembly not to override these vetoes and help us protect the services of people of Lucas County. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for everybody being here. We'll intersperse some elected officials amongst the truth that is being told by the people that actually operate in our community. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? Look in this room. Children's services, STEM, libraries, mental health, seniors, public education. Somebody tell me the wisdom of a political strategy that says, hey, let's attack every one of these things in a local community from Columbus. Isn't that the way to be popular and win votes? It's not that the state budget is in any harm that these cuts would fund. To the contrary, the state budget is growing. The state has more money than they planned for. The state coffers are filled. But instead of a strategy of supporting seniors, children, STEM, education, elected officials, local, let's take stuff away from them. It amazes me that a party that for years stood on the sense of that we need local control, big government bad, has turned into biggest and baddest government that we've seen in my lifetime. This is an attack. This is an attack on us. And how do they attack? When they cut off your money, your services go away. I have no clue what the strategy is to take public education money, give it to private parochial schools that have no accountability. Everybody says, look at the report cards of public education. We have to have accountability. No, let's take $1 billion from them, send it to schools that are unaccountable, have no measures of success, and can open and close on a year's notice or less. Come on, man. What are you thinking down there? Here's what we're thinking. Stop the attacks. Let us govern. Every one of these levies were voted on by the people in this county. Why do you in Columbus think you know better than us? We do not go to your communities and tell you how to do it. We have a good community here. We have a great community here. We have great resources here. Who are they? The Republican Party of no big government has become the biggest footprint on our local scene that I've ever seen. We got one chance to tell them no, and that's by getting some message out to our state legislatures. And let's be clear, there's really only one you got to call, all right? There's only one local state legislator supported, and that's Joshua Williams, all right? Just one. I'm not worried about the other ones. Keep calling them and encouraging them. We got to stop the attack. It has to stop now, and we have to support the people behind us.
Thank you. So closing us out is going to be, and I'm going to tell you folks, the hardest working senator down there in Columbus. She is the ranking member on finance, where this budget, I'll be nice, budget process went through, sat through countless hearings, hours, offered many amendments that were turned down that would support our communities and the work that makes Lucas County and the state of Ohio well, but they'd say no. Answered many phone calls, many emails, and leading this charge here today, and soon going to be down there in Columbus, casting her vote in support of us, not them. Our very own State Senator Paula Hicks Hudson.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Wow. I thought I was just doing my job. I'm honored to be here and standing with everyone that's here. And the honor is because these are the people who are the front line. These are the ones that are making the true difference in our community. And unfortunately, my colleagues, the majority members of the State Senate and the Ohio House, determined that they knew better than the experts. And that's been a theme that I have been seeing more and more in my time in Columbus. There is a problem, no question about it, that there is a problem. There is a heaviness on property owners. And so I'm going to answer somewhat what part of what Commissioner Gerken was saying is, what were they thinking? They were thinking a very short-sighted, what they thought was a political smoke and mirror way in which to relieve property owners with those 3 amendments that they put in and the governor wisely took out. Because the real problem isn't about funding to these entities. As you heard, I think Jason talked about a rounding error in terms of the state's budget. It is about this idea that we have to look good. We have to act like we're working for the people by putting something that sounds good in terms of property tax relief, when in fact they didn't take the time to listen to the experts who came in and talked constantly about ways in which to improve and deal with this balance. The governor, rightly so, said, let us put together well, I have a thing about commissions and study groups and that they prolong the issue. But the issue of property tax isn't one like 2 + 2 = 4. It is a highly complicated process that has been created over years of different things trying to do what government is supposed to do: protect and serve and provide safety nets for its citizens. So instead, what the majority did was they put in things that would not help. We know that there needs to be smart, common sense property tax relief. And some of the things that the Association of County Auditors came up with during their times while the budget was going on, talking to legislators, saying, these are some things that we think can help to improve and relieve property tax for homeowners. There needs to be communications that clarify what a renewal versus a emergency, what those levies mean. But again, it is not up to us at the state level to say, voters, you don't know that your agencies are trying to pull the wool over your eyes, because every time you listen to any of the ads or the proponents talking about a tax increase, they tell you exactly how much it's going to cost. They tell you exactly what it's for. The transparency is not so much on their side as it is for us as voters to know and to be educated more so. But we do need to talk about how we can clean up the language so that it isn't some bugaboo that folks don't understand. We need to look at how to have consistency in valuation practices, and what this county commissioner budget committee will do is upside that, because in one county you may have the budget commission making a decision one way and the county over will make a different decision on the same type of levy based upon whatever information that they may or may not have. I will tell you that I think another reason, to answer the commissioner's question, is that legislators are afraid to talk about taxes because taxes are bad things. What we should do is talk about what taxes really are and really talk about being good stewards, which I will tell you every one of these people up here and the agencies that they represent in Lucas County are. And the fact that we are here having to talk and to raise awareness is because, again, so oftentimes the deeds that are done in the dark, we don't know until the light of day comes out how nasty and how harmful they can be. But if we were to have a long-term policy review mechanism that would consistently and thoughtfully and efficiently and thoroughly look at the problems of our tax structure and come up with thoughtful, consistent, efficient, and effective ways in which to fund our agencies. Every last agency up here, I will say, has done that. And that's why I think in Lucas County we do have that confidence in the agencies. But because in the middle of the night, at 1:30 on that fabled day, when those of you who follow me on Facebook know I was posting about being in an empty room waiting for the budget, the conference committee to come together. There were 836 amendments that were voted on in the conference committee. Of those, the governor only had one amendment that was accepted. The former, as you know, the budget has 3 different versions. I don't want to give you a budget lesson, but the conference committee was to put all of the different versions together and come up with the big budget bill. They touted that this bill was 5,000 some pages. Well, there's a lot of policy in that budget, but there's not a lot of humanity and compassion in the budget. And so therefore, I asked my colleague, Commissioner Sebecki and Commissioner Gerken, if we could come together and bring our local agencies that are directly impacted together so that the community, the people will know, and the light will shine to show what this again, short-sighted idea to bring back my colleagues in the House first and then us in the Senate secondly, to override the very thoughtful 68 vetoes that the governor did veto. And it's very interesting to see that in this world of partisanship, who's supporting whom. Good government should not be a Republican only or Democrat only. It is about what is good for the people. And the people, I will tell you, are you that receive these services, who are able to take their children when they don't have money to the library for a really great opportunity to learn, or to go to Imagination Station, or go to the metro parks. We have such glorious things in our community that are at risk because of short-sighted, rather than dealing with the real issue. You know how they talk about putting lipstick on a pig? That's what this is. So I want to thank you all for being here, for your willingness to speak, and to really, as I say, shine light on something that was done in the dark. And that, again, we will continue to fight. My job, I believe, more than anything else, is to bring you the information so that you can make decisions about who should be and what should be happening in our community and in our state. You know, Ohio has so much to offer. I just came back from a road trip, and the things I can say about Ohio is our roads are so much better. Our facilities that are open, that are free, we have a greater opportunity, and that is because the citizens believe in funding government, and government, I think, has, up until now, has been a willing partner to make sure that we can, that the citizens, Ohioans, really can have the best quality of life. So with that, I'm going to close out. But again, there are recommendations that experts have that no one wanted to listen to. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you. And I don't know if you want to do one-on-ones or you want to talk
Yeah, we'll
to the
do
real
one-on-ones.
people.
Do
These are the
one-on-ones.
real ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody call, stay focused.
Thank you all.